everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody here for the lesson 2 of my design topic series. Now this lesson is about using dark or bad quality photos. And what I'm talking about here are photos that may be old and maybe were taken with a lower quality camera, or photos that were taken at night with, a camera phone, or just not the best quality in general. Maybe it was a photo that you took off of a website and the quality just didn't transfer over whenever you save the photo, anything like that. So I've outlined 4 basic tips here for using these type of photos. The first one is to print the photos in black and white. I have this photo of my brother-in-law that was just kind of dark looking, so I went ahead and printed it in black and white. And what this does is it also minimizes the distraction of the photo. So say the things that were behind him in the photo were real brightly colored, that'll minimize that distraction. The second tip that I have for you is to use brighter colored embellishments. So I have some 3x4 cards here, just as an example, the bright yellow, the teal, and the pink, to offset some of these darker colors. The third tip I have is to print them in smaller sizes, and I've got 3 photos here that I've printed in smaller sizes. I don't know the exact size of these, but the ones that I were thinking of was to use 3x4 photos or maybe 2x2 photos. And then the very last tip I have for you is to incorporate all these photos into a larger, incorporate them into pocket pages instead of a large 12x12 spread. This will give you the ability to kind of layer things on top of the photos that you may not have been able to do quite as much if it's a 12x12 spread. So use these photos in smaller pockets, just so the focus isn't quite on the photos, but you still get to tell your story. So I hope this helps. I'm going to jump right into the process video so you'll be able to see exactly how I incorporate all of these darker and lower quality photos that I have pulled out today. All right, stay tuned. Okay, now for the process video. Since this is a project life spread, as I mentioned in the tips, I'm using the project life spread, and I always do 4 4x6 white cards in my upper and lower 4x6 sections. Now I may put a pattern paper behind those photos, but I always start with my solid white cardstock. It's just something I really enjoy. I like the way that it looks, and it also kind of keeps everything cohesive in my album. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually flipping through all of these Project Life cards, and a lot of these are from Ellie Studio. And I'm looking for some bright colors. One of my tips was to use bright colors to offset the darkness of the photos, and so I'm just kind of going through, seeing what I can find, and just trying a couple of different things. I tried a couple yellows. I also tried a couple teals. I'm looking at this pinky red color because I thought it was a nice pop against the dark photo of Kaylin. I'm also going to pull out a couple different Project Life cards here. I use the Me and My Big Ideas summer set as well, and that's these right here. A lot of them have sayings that are related to summer, but I really pulled it out for the colors more so than the actual theme of the kit, or theme of the Project Life cards, I should say. Pulling out a lot of the blues and the pinks. Those typically, to me, are really nice bright colors without being so bold or contradicting. I really enjoy yellow, but sometimes it's a little bit difficult to use and work with, and orange is just not my color for whatever reason. Now this, as you saw when I flipped over to the back, this blue paper is actually some packaging that was in, that some Ellie Studio tags came in. And I just like the pattern of it, so I kept it to use it for pattern paper. Just cutting down this photo of my parents. And I'll tell you a little bit about the photos. So these photos, some of them are older, some of them are newer. Some of them are actually from that month, but most of them are older. My dad died that month, which was March 2014, so I kind of used this layout as a little bit of a tribute to him. This is a picture of my parents together. It was taken a couple years ago. I want to say it was either taken at Christmas or Easter. I can't remember. It's funny because it's in our living room and we only really use that living room during holidays. So it's pretty easy to say that it probably was Christmas or Easter because that's when we'll use that room most. But it's just a really nice picture of my parents together. And I'm going to find a die cut here in a second that is just truly fitting for the situation. And it says, enjoying every moment with you, or every moment I get to spend with you. And since this was kind of a tribute to my dad, that just was a perfect little saying to go on this layout. But it has the white background with the bright colors on that little die cut. It's like gray writing, but it has a really nice soft feeling to the writing, and then it has some flowers on there as well. Now, so I'm going to use this background card, and I'm just putting the date that my dad died. It was actually on the 28th of March. And I'm going to end up using this as my card. I'm not going to mat it on the white cardstock because it already is on a white cardstock base. And this is where I'm thinking, do I want to cut it? And then I realized, well, what's the point? Because I'm just going to layer it right on top of another piece of white cardstock. Now, I'm finding that the photo of Kaylin is just slightly too large. So I'm going to trim this down, I believe, here in just a moment. No, I'm not going to trim it down. I'm leaving it, but I'm backing it on a piece of this red and pink stripe. I really enjoy using my LA Studio tags. They're the perfect size, and there's a nice variation of colors and themes in here, and so I just keep them all together. I organized a lot of my supplies by color, as you can see right here. This is the pink set, and these are different things that maybe I've cut apart from paper, or I have, one or two embellishments left from a die cut pack, or somebody has given me some stuff. There's a couple different things that I use to put in here. Now, when I get new things in my supply, in my stash, I keep it together. I keep it in its original packaging until I use it at least a few times, and then I'll separate it and add it to my color organized items. I like to be able to tell you which products I'm using, and once I separate it, it's really difficult for me to remember. But things like this pink circle that says happy, that was actually from, that was racked to me or given to me from a subscriber. So I really appreciate it, but I have no idea where it's from. So I can't tell you where it's from, but it's really nice. It's got this gold lettering that says happy. And then I'm just going to layer this little heart banner right over that. Now I pulled up my stapler because I thought about stapling it to the top, but I do not have a tiny attacher, and I know a lot of people do, but I don't have one, so I can't use it. A lot of times I really don't have any difficult time using a regular stapler, but I just felt like it would be a little bit too big on that circle. This is a little heart that not a heart. Wow. This is a little flower that Kaylin had given me one day, so I'm just including it here. And it needed a little bit of a white border since I trimmed it down. I'm just adding my little label on top. And I realized at one point here that I round my corners, and I had not yet rounded that corner. Now, whenever you're using any kind of pocket cards from other manufacturers other than Becky Higgins Project Life cards, if you're going to use her page protectors, I would highly suggest either trying the cards to make sure they fit, or using another card that is a Project Life card to kind of line up and trim off the edges, because it never fails. It's not a true 3x4 card. And so I had my honey edition sitting right here on my desk. I usually have one edition on my desk at all times just so I can pull from it if I need a Project Life card. And I just use those cards to trim these other cards. And in doing that, I realized, oh wait, I have some cards in here that are nice and bright and colorful that would be good to use with this layout as well. I pull out my blue box here to kind of add a few more things, and I come up with this Home Sweet Home little I would say die cut, but I actually cut it out of the paper. It was from a Die Cuts with a View matte stack, I believe, from years and years and years ago. And so I just kind of trimmed it out and used it. Already had it trimmed out, but I went ahead and used it. Now this is a photo of my brother-in-law, which seems a little random, but we were doing a lot of hanging out with family in that month, so I wanted to include a picture of him because I don't have a ton of pictures of him. He works a lot, and so it's kind of hard to coordinate the schedules of everyone. It's all of our husbands tend to work a lot, and so they come less to the family events, but obviously this was for my dad, so we were all there. So I just wanted to get a couple extra pictures in this spread. Now these little speech bubbles, I thought this would be a great place to do some journaling. I'm just drawing my lines. Now I draw these a bit crooked and it drives me crazy. Even with this Tim Holtz ruler, which I love, for some reason it still was a bit crooked. So I'm just going to roll with it. I'm using my Sharpie pen. I like to do my journaling in my Sharpie pen because it does a bit of a contrast. It's a very bold pen. It's not bold as in like a Sharpie marker, but it's still definitely a lot more bold than my pen itself. So I drew the lines with my regular pen, and then I use my Sharpie pen to do the journaling. And then I'm going to add this label right over top that says "Love This." And I'm adding just a tiny little bit of this offcut of the pinked circle that I had at the top. Anytime I'm doing Project Life, and if you watch me frequently, you'll know this, I like to keep all my little offcuts of paper so that I can use them on other cards and kind of have the same colors reoccurring throughout the layout. I tend to do all of my scrapbooking at once. I don't really like to walk away and have to stop and restart and stop and restart. I really like to be able to finish a layout all at one time. It's not detrimental if I can, but it just seems to me that it's a little bit more cohesive when I can do the whole thing together. Another thing that I like to do is have all the cards laid out. Now, you may not always be able to see it in the screen, but I really like being able to have all of my cards laying out in front of me so that I can always keep an eye on what I've already done on the layout, and it just helps me be able to make sure everything is cohesive. Again, one of those cohesive things. And it also helped me, since I am trying to use bright colors on this layout, it helps me to be able to see what colors I've already used and also to try to use those reoccurring throughout the page. I'm having a little bit of difficulty with my own handwriting here recently. I don't know why, but I'm not really liking it. And so you'll see me write things over and over and over again. Now, I had this piece of striped paper in my scrap bin that I recently found. I was going through a lot of my papers, and I found this paper had been cut into. So once I have a paper that's cut into, I take it out of my regular stash and I put it in my scrap bin because that's when I'll use it. If it's in my scrap bin, I'll use it. Anytime I need a piece of paper, I pull from my scrap bin. I only really pull from my full sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock whenever I am starting a new layout and I need large papers. And then I had this little die cut that said "Love, Love, Love." It's another Ellie Studio die cut, and I'm just going to add it down here. It adds a pop of color here at the bottom. And I'm using Fun Foam as the back to kind of help me pop up a few things. I have foam dots, but I have little bits of foam everywhere, so I'm just trying to use up the scraps. I am very much a recycler whenever it comes to scrapbooking. I don't like throwing things away. If I can use it, I completely will, and I'll hang on to things for quite some time before I throw them away. I like to be able to use it completely. So there is this little speech bubble that says "Hello Life," and I think it says "Enjoy every moment," and that was truly fitting. Because my dad looks so happy in this picture. It's a couple years ago, but he looks so happy there. And I'm just using this one die cut that had, or as a label, that had a heart on each end, and I just layered it over the two different quarters of these bottom 4x6 cards to kind of tie those two together. So as you can see, I'm using my bright colors to help lighten up the darker and lower quality photos. I am going to do a recap here in just a moment for you to be able to see exactly what I mean and the things that I did. Okay, so the layout is now finished, and I'm just going to recap with you the tips that I had at the beginning of this video for you when you're using dark and low or bad quality photos. Now, this can include older photos that were taken with cameras that weren't quite as advanced as they are now, photos that may have been taken on your on your camera phone at night, or photos that just for whatever reason didn't turn out exactly right. So one of the big tips that I had, it was actually the last tip, was to use it in pocket paged scrapbook layouts instead of on full 12 by 12. This lets you be able to use them in smaller sizes, but still be able to tell your story. So I used 3 of the photos in smaller photos, not 4 by 6 photos, which was another tip. And then I also even used one that was in black and white, which is the photo of my brother-in-law there to the right. That also helps kind of reduce the amount of busyness that may be in the background, which can make it even worse, make a bad quality photo even worse. So like I said, there's the black and white photo. Now, and then my last tip, which is actually the most impactful tip here, is to use some bright colors. I have reds and pinks and blues and yellows going on in this layout. I have some teals. I also have a few little pops of gray, and that's just to make it a little bit cohesive. I like to have a few repeating things throughout the layout. And then of course I have tags all over the place because I'm such a person that uses tags in my project life. So anyways, those are the 4 tips I have for you today when you're using either darker or lower bad quality photos. I hope that you found something helpful in today's layout, and stay tuned because I am posting videos almost every day of the week, Monday through Friday, with a bunch of different tips and topics and other things that I'm sharing with you. So please like this video give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and also subscribe. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Bye.